शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुश्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much again, Mataji, for that. That's blessing us with the auspicious Pangacharana. And as I was saying earlier, I'm not sure whether today her grace, Radhika Kasturi Mataji, will be joining us. She has not yet confirmed or unconfirmed about her attendance. But since we had scheduled to do Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter 4, verse 29, we're suggesting we can read it and then as we wait and see. And also, I also see her grace in Dule Kamataji is with us. She can, if she doesn't mind, she can expound a little bit. And it's there, waiting from 2. We will wait a short time. Hare Krishna. Easton Prabhu, are you in a position to read for us the verse kindly?
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I'm able to read the verse. It would be good if you scroll a bit. Brahma Sapa Padeshena Kalena Mogha Vanchita Samhritya Swakulam Pitam Jasyam Deham Achintayat. Word-to-word translation. Please scroll a bit. Thank you. Shri Sukha Uvacha, Shri Sukadev Goswami said, Brahma Sapa, cursing by the Brahmanas, Upadeshena, on the plea, there is such a show, Kalena, by the eternal time, Amogha, unfailing, Vanchita, one who so desires, Samhritya, closing, Svakulam, own family, Spitam, excessively numerous, Tyakshyam, after giving up, Deham, their universal form, Achintayat, those to himself. Translation by his divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, scroll a bit. Okay, thank you. Sukadev Goswami replied, My dear king, the cursing of the Brahmanas was only a plea, but the actual fact was the supreme desire of the Lord. He wanted to disappear from the face of the earth. After dispatching his excessively numerous family members, he thought to himself as follows, He thought to himself as follows. Purport. In this verse, the whole section is very significant in relation to Lord Shri Krishna's leaving his body. Since he is the eternal form of existence, knowledge, and bliss, his body and his self are identical. Therefore, how is it possible that he will leave his body and then disappear from the vision of the world? There is a great controversy among the non-devotees or Mayavadis about the mysterious disappearance of the Lord, and the doubts of those men with a poor fund of knowledge have been very elaborately cleared by Srila Jiva Goswami in his Krishna Sandarbha. According to Brahma Samhita, the Lord has many forms. It is stated therein that the Lord has innumerable forms, and when he appears within the vision of the living entities, as Lord Krishna actually appeared, all such forms amalgamate with him. Besides all these infallible forms, he has his universal form, as manifested before Arjuna in the battlefield at Kurukshetra. Here in this verse, the word spitam is also used, which indicates that he left his gigantic universal form called the Virat Rupa, not his primeval eternal form, because there is hardly any possibility of his changing his form of Satchitananda. His simple understanding is at once realized by the devotees of the Lord. By those who are non-devotees, who perform hardly any devotional service to the Lord, either do not understand the simple fact or purposely raise a controversy to defeat the eternity of the transcendental body of the Lord. This is due to the defect called the cheating propensity of the imperfect living entities. Hare Krishna. Okay. I see it's still continuing. By practical experience also, it is seen up to the present day that the Lord's transcendental form is worshipped by devotees in different temples, and all the devotees of the Lord factually realize that the form of the deity in temple is non-different from the form of the Lord. This inconceivable performance of the internal potency of the Lord is described in the Bhagavad Gita 7.25. Naham Prakashaha Sarvasya Yoga Maya Samavrita. The Lord reserves the right of not being exposed to everyone. In the Padma Purana, it is said, Ata Shri Krishna Madina Bhaved Grahyam Indriyai. The name and the form of the Lord cannot be perceived by the material senses. I think it stops sharing. Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I think Prabhuji has stopped sharing. Can I continue reading?
Yeah, sure. You can continue. Hare
Okay,
Krishna.
so by practical experience, I'll start from here. Okay. By practical experience also, it is said up to the present day that the Lord's transcendental form is worshipped by devotees in different temples, and all the devotees of the Lord factually realize that the form of the deity in the temple is non-different from the form of the Lord. This inconceivable performance of the internal potency of the Lord is described in Bhagavad Gita 7.25. Naham prakashaha sarvasya yoga maya samavritaha. The Lord reserves the right of not being exposed to everyone. In the Padma Purana, it is said, Atah Shri Krishna namadi na bhaved krahyam indriyahi. The name and form of the Lord cannot be perceived by the material senses, but when he appears within the vision of the mundane people, he assumes the form of the Virat Rupa. This is an additional material exhibition of form and is supported by the logic of its subject and its adjectives. In grammar, when an adjective is taken away from the subject It modifies, does not change. Similarly, when the Lord quits his Virata Rupa, his eternal form does not change, although there is no material difference between himself and any one of his innumerable forms. In the fifth canto, it will be seen how the Lord is worshipped in different planets in his different forms, even now, and how he is worshipped in different temples of this earth also. Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur have very elaborately explained this incident of the Lord's disappearance in their commentaries, quoting various authentic versions of Vedic literatures. We purposely do not include them all here to avoid an increase in the volume of this book. The entire matter is explained in Bhagavad Gita as quoted above. The Lord reserves the right of not being exposed to everyone. He always keeps himself out of the vision of the non-devotees who are devoid of love and devotion, and thus he puts them still further away from the Lord. The Lord appeared on the invitation of Brahma, who prayed before the Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, and therefore when the Lord appeared, all the forms of Vishnu amalgamated with him, and when the mission was fulfilled, all of them disintegrated from him in the usual course. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji and Prabhuji, for reading that shloka, very detailed. I see Her Grace Radhika Kasturi Mataji has joined us, and it's an honor at least to have her in today's sangha. I'm sure she's usually in a very tight and busy schedule, but she still gets time to come and share some nectar of the Srimad Bhagavatam with us. And also thank you so much all assembled devotees for kindly always showing up for this discourse and giving it more life.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes,
Hare
thank you so
Krishna.
much for this. Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Thank you.
We just
Thank you,
yeah.
Prabhuji and Mataji, for reading through this material. I appreciate it. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. First, my pranams. Om ajnanatimirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Namo om vishnupadaya krishna prashtaya bhutale srimate bhakti vedanta swami iti namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Narayanam Namaskrityam, Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet, Srinivata Swagata Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtanaha, Hridayanta Sokhiya Patrani, Vidunoti Sugrit Satam, Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, Bhagavati Buddhamastoke, Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining today's call. And so today's verse is a very beautiful verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 4th chapter and 29th verse. So here, Sukadev Goswami is talking about how the Lord disappeared, right? And then this is again something that it's not like, oh yeah, this material body has a death. It has its birth and it has its death. But with Bhagavan, it is not like that. Krishna leaving his body, Krishna and the body are the same, right? And again, it's Krishna leaving his body. Is it like a material body? No, that's what it is. It's a transcendental body. And again, there is definitely this controversy that's happening between the Mayavadis and the devotees of the Lord. And our acharyas have given beautiful commentaries with regards to the form of the Lord and his innumerable forms and how he appears in this material world. And what all he does to his devotees is something that obviously our 10th canto talks about. And this is something that only devotees can understand what is his transcendental nature and how Krishna, he appears different yugas at different points in time, at different parts of the world, in different kalpas. So only a devotee, he understands the nuances of Krishna's appearance, right? And Krishna's pastimes, the specific pastimes, that the disappearance is also mentioned in Mahabharata as Moshal Leela, right? This includes the destruction of the Yadu dynasty. And it's also being said, yes, in Mahabharata, that Krishna is being pierced by hunter's arrow. And obviously, and then it would portray as if blood is coming out of Krishna's body and so on and so forth. Again, this is not factual, but it is for the bewilderment of the asuras who want to prove that yes, Krishna is a ordinary human being. They're all false in the sense uh, to prove the point that Krishna is transcendental. There are many people who are by nature averse to the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are called asuras. They have mistaken identities. They have mistaken ideas about Krishna. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the asuras are given a chance to forget Krishna more and more, birth after birth. Thus, they make their appearance in family of asuras and continue that process. That keeps them bewildered about Krishna all the time. And we also know asuras in the dress of sannyasis even explained in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam in different ways according to their own imaginations. Thus, they remain to be or continue to be asuras birth after birth. Isn't it, devotees? So we all know when it comes to the destruction of Yadu dynasty, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, as well as his brother Balaram, executed the killing of many, many demons. The Yadu dynasty also helped in this regard. To further remove the burden of the earth, the Lord arranged the great battle of Kurukshetra, which erupted between the Kurus and the Pandavas. Previously, before the appearance of the Lord, he ordered the demigods appear in the pious family of the Yadus. However, some members of the Yadu dynasty still saw the Lord to be ordinary human being. Because of their mundane vision of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they considered themselves to be the same level of the Lord. Again, imagine, they took birth in this Yadu dynasty. Because they took birth in the Yadu dynasty, they had inconceivable strength. And thus they misunderstood Krishna's superior position or supreme position. Having forgotten that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they constituted a great burden. Consequently, it was necessary for the Lord to remove this burden from the face of the earth. Although many members who were devoted to Krishna died in this fratricidal war, they were all returned to their original position as universal demigods. Others who were eternal associates of the Lord, they returned to their own abode. Thus, of course, the Lord fulfilled his promise that, obviously, from Bhagavad Gita, we know the fact that the devotee never perishes. We also know from Mahabharata, Gandhari also cursed Yadu dynasty to be destroyed by the fratricide. She did this because she considered Krishna to be the cause of the son's death. The curse satisfied the Lord because he was considering how to remove his family from the face of the earth, right? The Supreme Lord Krishna used Yadu dynasty, which was protected by his own arms, to eliminate the kings who, with their armies, had been a burden to this earth. The unfathomable Lord thought to himself, oh my God, they are great burden. Earth's great burden has now been uh, affected with the help of Drona, Bhishma, Arjuna, and Bhima. What is this? There is inconceivable strength of the Yadu dynasty, born of myself, which may become more so and unbearable unbearable burden. No force outside could defeat this family, the Yadu dynasty, who. So Krishna thought, okay, but if I inspire within the dynasty a quarrel, it'll act like a fire, right? A fire from the friction of the bamboo. And I shall achieve my real purpose and return to my eternal abode after this. When the Supreme Lord, obviously, when he desires, it happens, right? It's not like our desire, it may happen or may not happen. He is the reservoir of beauty. His personal form is so attractive. He is an object to everybody. So when Krishna when Krishna is in the earth, obviously he attracted people of all. I mean, he attracted almost everybody. When Krishna spoke, his words, of course, attracted everybody. Is somebody trying to call me from here, from the Sangha? I'm receiving a call from England. Is this you guys, or is just probably not, right? I don't know. I don't receive call from England, but either ways, it's not either of you, right? Right, devotees? Okay. Now, the point that we are trying to talk about is when Krishna is in the earth, he attracted everybody. His words attracted the minds of everybody who remembered him. By seeing the footprints of Krishna, people were attracted to him. And they all desired to become their obedient servants. In this way, Krishna, he spread his glories everywhere throughout the world. Lord Krishna considered that by simply hearing and chanting his glories, the conditioned souls in the future can cross beyond the darkness of ignorance. So, being satisfied with this, he left for his desired destination. That's the point. And he has his body that is transcendental always. It's just that he appears in this material world and then he disappears. And then he probably goes to the other worlds that are where the devotees are there longing to see him. This is Krishna. He makes a pastime. Obviously there's so much more to the Yadu dynasty, right? How the sages get angry and how they curse the Yadus. All this is a part of 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. But the point here, devotees, is for us to understand that Krishna is transcendental. All his pastimes are transcendental. His activities are transcendental. His body is transcendental. That is Krishna. And if we are clear about these facts and have no contradicting thoughts, oh yeah, Krishna, how he died and all that. If we are not having that contradicting facts going on in our mind, then it's Krishna's mercy that we are blessed that we don't have any such doubts in our mind about Krishna. Because scriptures can say, and our understanding, our doubts can always come and pop up, right? I mean, how can this be true? How can this be true or that be true? But scriptures say the conclusions of the scripture, if they are understood in a right way, then we will not have any doubts. So this is the point. That's being discussed in this purport. And then, so obviously the name and form of the Lord, they cannot be perceived by the material senses. When he appears in so the thing is, when we chant the names of the Lord, the name and the form of the Lord, the glories of the Lord, we chant the name as if it's an ordinary name, right? I mean, sometimes it's just a monotony for us to complete the 16 rounds. It can be monotony for me. I mean, not for anybody else. I mean, I'm just saying here that sometimes chanting can be mundane task. Yes, I have to complete this checkbox, finish my 16 rounds and be done with it for today. But this name has its glory. This name is a transcendental name. And again, when we have that love in the tongue, with Krishna, that name can mean a different thing for us. It's Krishna, and we start relishing that name, right? And we wouldn't mind chanting that name million times. Now it's 16 rounds. We wouldn't chant. We wouldn't mind. Yeah, I can chant however long. That would be the perception that with which we would think. That day has to come, dear devotees, where we feel like that. Now, so when it comes to creation, right, we have to talk about it a little bit because we need to understand what this material world is and what the spiritual world is. And so just to understand, so there is the spiritual world and there is the material world and the river called Viraja, which separates the material world from the spiritual world. Right? There are billions of Vaikunta planets in the spiritual world, and the topmost of that Vaikunta is called Goloka Vrindavan. In this Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna is eternally residing. He has two hands, just like a human form. He plays the flute. So that means originally the human form belongs to Lord Krishna. In Vaikunta, if you look at it, there are 400 Narayana, and they are eternally liberated souls serving the Lord. There is no limit to the spiritual world. In the material world, there is Paramatma. They are the Purusha avatars. The first Purusha avatars, who's he? He is called Karanodakshay Vishnu. And in his body resides the conditioned Jivatmas and also Prakriti. So these Jivatmas, how long they are there in the body of Karanodakshay Vishnu? They are there since Anadi or beginningless. The way the Jivatmas are there in Goloka since Anadi, there's no beginning. Since when they were there? No, we have no beginning. I mean, they are there for a beginningless. In the same way, Jivas inside the Karanodakshay Vishnu, they are also there in the body of Karanodakshay Vishnu since Anadi. And Karanodakshaya's body is not made of material elements, but it is transcendental. And we know Karanodakshay Vishnu is a Purusha avatar. What about Krishna? He's made of material elements? No way. If the Purusha avatars are transcendental, what about Krishna? Who's the source of these Purusha avatars? And in the body of the Karanodakshay Vishnu, we also have Prakriti in him since Anadi. Are you all with me? Now, these Jivatmas are infinitesimal. Meaning, if you cut this thing into half and then cut that half into two halves, and if we keep on doing this, we are unable to break them into two. That is the size of Jivatma. They are infinitesimal. And Bhagavan is infinite. This infinitesimal Jivatma, imagine, such a tiny Jivatma, this is covered by avidya. Along with this avidya, this Jivatma also has karma. And how long this karma has been there? The karma is also anadi. How is it now? One may have this question. How is it that some are in the material world, some are in the spiritual world? There is no cause for that. This causeless situation is called anadi. Since anadi, this Jivatma is covered by what is called avidya and karma. Okay, dear devotees. And what are the inherent characteristics of this Jivatma? This Jivatma, again, this is based on Paramatma Sandarbha by Srila Jiva Goswami. That is the reference. So this Jivatma is Sachidananda Mayam. It has Anuparimana, it seems. We will definitely look into it. But the point here is, it is Sachidanandamayam. It has a uniform form. It has, it is a minute conscious particle. Okay. So when this Jivatma is covered with avidya, what happens to this Jivatma? This Jivatma forgets himself that he is the soul. But inherently, the soul has the capacity to know that it is a soul. Just as the eyes has the capacity to see. But when the eyes is covered with darkness, they cannot see anything. But that doesn't mean, oh yeah, eyes has lost the capacity to see anything. Right? It is due to the darkness that the eyes is not able to see. Similarly, this Jivatma is transcendental and it has the ability to know itself that it's a soul. But the dull matter, such as the glass, has no consciousness and cannot know itself. But that is not the case with this Jivatma. This Jivatma is it's minute like a particle of sunshine. But because of this avidya, the Jivatma is not able to know, yeah, I am a soul. Along with this avidya, it has a karma. And this karma is with the Jivatma since Anadi. And again, dear devotees, please don't try to understand the meaning of Anadi with this material intelligence. It's very difficult. Anadi, that concept itself is very difficult to understand. Let's just say, yeah, Anadi. That's all. With this material intelligence, if you are trying to understand what that Anadi means, it's very, very difficult. So all these souls covered with avidya are called baddha jivas or conditioned souls. Along with these conditioned souls, Prakriti is also there in the body of Karanodakshaya Vishnu. Now we all understood, yeah, from Anadi, the Jivatmas don't know who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is. Such Jivas, they are captured by whom? They are captured by Maya. Who's in the back of the Lord? Because she is ashamed. She is ashamed because she has trapped the Jivatmas. Because the Jivatmas are trapped by her, automatically they are also in the back of the Lord. That is why the Jivas have turned away from the Lord. Since when? Since Anadi, beginningless. Why? We cannot question why some are in the back, why some are in the front. No, we cannot question that. Anadi means na vidyate adhikaranam yashyasaha. That which has no beginning, cause. The Lord is beginningless. So are his potencies like Mayas and Jivas. That's what Bhagavad Gita 13.20 says. Prakritim Purusham Chaiva. Material nature and the living entity should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformations and the modes of matter are the products of material nature. Now, we have this Karanodakshaya Vishnu who lies in the Karana ocean, and the one who lies in the Karana is called Karanodakshaya Vishnu. Jivatmas covered with avidya and karma reside in his body since Anadi, and it has no cause. Right? This is what we have seen. Just like we cannot say since when Krishna exists. In the same way, we cannot say since when this Jivatma has karma. Time begins after material creation. Again, dear devotees, we should understand why I am talking about this is because we have to understand the concept of time comes after material creation. Now, when you look at the Purusha avatars, they're all transcendental. Karanodakshaya Vishnu, whose body this Jivatma is he a material body? No, he's transcendental body. And does he come from? He comes from Krishna. Is he transcendental? Yes, he is transcendental. He doesn't have a material body. And when this material body is created, that's why I want you to understand, oh yeah, material body is created during creation. So now, when Karanodakshaya Vishnu is lying on this ocean, he desires to give bodies to these jivas. So what he does, he glances on the Prakriti which is inside his body. And this Prakriti is made of Sattva, Rajas and Tama. When he glances on Prakriti, immediately there is this agitation that happens in the Prakriti. The equilibrium of the Sattva, Rajas and Tamas is disturbed by Lord's glance. Now, what is this glance? This glance of the Lord is called Kala Shakti. Now, this Kala Shakti is infused into Prakriti by Karanodakshaya Vishnu. That means there is no influence of time before material creation. Time begins only when Lord glances on Prakriti. Just like The stopwatch starts and stops. The Kala begins and stops here in this material creation. It begins when Karnodaksha Vishnu glances on Prakriti, and along with this Kala, all the Jivatmas, accompanied by their karma and avidya, they enter this Prakriti. And by this Prakriti is transformed, and then the 24 elements are formed, or 23 elements are formed, and some billions of universal shells are also formed. Karnodaksha Vishnu, he enters into each and every universe as Garbhodaksha Vishnu. Again, when you look at Garbhodaksha Vishnu, is his body transcendental? Yes, his body is also transcendental. It's not formed by these 23 elements. He fills half of that universe with his perspiration. These 23 elements, they are all called Mahat, Ahankar, Panchaputas, Panchatanmatras, form, taste, touch, smell, and sound, Panchajnanendriyas, eyes, nose, tongue, skin, and ears, Panchakarmendriyas, hands, legs, tongue, genitals, and rectum, and mind. So, total of 23 elements form this Brahmanda. And now Garbhodaksha Vishnu, he enters into each Brahmanda and then fills it with half of his sweat. He takes the chunk of these 23 elements into his abdomen for 10,000 celestial years and develops it as a pregnant lady, develops it, like she develops the embryo for 9 months. Like that, he develops it. Now, finally, a Virat Purusha is born of the stem of the lotus from his navel, from Garbhodaksha Vishnu's navel. And this lotus stem has 14 planetary systems, with the top of the loka being Satyaloka, in which Brahma is born, also at the same time. And all these conditioned souls are in this lotus. Now, each of these universe has a set of Jivatmas in the lotus. At this time, they are simply covered by what? Avidya and karma, but they don't have bodies. And Brahma is the one who gives them the body according to their karma. Now, first Brahmaji, he gives Ahankar. He gives Chitta. He gives Buddhi, mind, senses. And then those are the subtle body that Brahma gives. These Jivatmas covered by Avidya are given these things. Amount of what is given is based on the karma of the Jivatma. For example, a tree's body doesn't have eyes, nose, tongue and all that. There's only one sense, that's the skin. Some bodies have two senses. So in this way, the material bodies, which are also called Sthula Dega or gross bodies, that is given. And Brahmaji also gives the sense objects, those enjoyed by the senses. Right? So in the 14 planetary systems, various types of sense objects are created and Jivatmas are given the bodies from that 8.4 billion species. Based on their karma, they are sent to these different planets. We all know about Brahma. His days is 1000 Mahayugas, and 1 Mahayuga is equal to 1 Satya Yuga plus 1 Treta Yuga plus 1 Dwapara plus 1 Kali. All the 4 is called 1 Mahayuga. Such 1000 Mahayugas make 12 hours of Brahmaji. And then 1000 Mahayugas form his night. So from this navel of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, one lotus sprouted. In the lotus is the Virat Purusha, who has many heads, hands, and legs. At his head, if you look at it, it's Satyaloka. Below is Tapaloka, Janaloka, Makarloka, Swarga, Bhuvar, Bhuvar, Atara, Vitala. In this way, there are 14 planetary systems. Right? So at the end of the 1000 Mahayugas, all the living entities from the lowest planet up to Swarga lose their gross bodies. Their gross bodies are destroyed or it's burnt by fire. Their subtle bodies only remain, obviously, along with the soul, covered by avidya. These Jivatmas go to the lotus where Brahma is sitting. But the inhabitants of Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, and Satyaloka, they remain. They will sleep or meditate while Brahmaji is in the resting period. Now Brahmaji does Sandhya Vandanam, and then obviously he once again gives gross bodies to all these conditioned souls and then sends them to the lower planets for their karma. Then they transmigrate from one body to another body according to their karma. This happens every day in Brahma's life. So obviously such days of Brahma make 1 month, and then 12 months make 1 year. Such 100 years, such is the 100 years, that's the span of Brahmaji. After this 100 years, his gross and subtle bodies and all of the living entities, all of them are destroyed. Now again, only their soul and, only their avidya and karma remain. The gross and subtle body, obviously they are disintegrated. That's when we are talking about Brahmaji's lifetime. They are disintegrated into these 23 elements through reverse creation, and then they go back to Prakriti. That Prakriti enters what? Karnodakshay Vishnu. Thus, all the Jivatmas also enter Karnodakshay Vishnu along with what? Avidya and Karma. This is what happens during disintegration or after Brahmaji's lifetime is done. That means after 100 years of Brahmaji, everything now returns back to Karnodakshay Vishnu. Now again, Karnadaksha Vishnu, he will desire to, give them bodies. He glances them. And that time he glances on Prakriti. And once again, creation is set into motion where these 23 elements are formed. Universe is created. And then Garbhodaksha Vishnu enters and, fills it with his sweat. And Virat Purusha is born along with Brahmaji. And Brahmaji is the one who gives the subtle and gross bodies to all these Baddha Jivas. And the Jivas accept one body after another, till a point where there is partial annihilation. That is when it happens at the end of each of Brahmaji's day. In this way, 100 years of Brahmaji's pass, and once again, total annihilation takes place. Thereby, reverse creation happens. So now, Kala begins only when Karnodaksha Vishnu glances on Prakriti. If he doesn't glance, then there's no time. And as soon as he closes his eyes, then there's no influence of time. So our mind and intelligence came after creation. And now, if you ask us this question, how is it possible for us to understand the subjects which are beyond the jurisdiction of time? When we say transcendental, we have to accept it's transcendental, right? How is it possible for this material mind and intelligence to understand subject matter which is beyond this jurisdiction of time? Because as I said, time is born after creation. This is the important concept that we need to understand through this purport, because certain subject matters are beyond the conception of time, and we just have to accept that, yes, Krishna is the supreme. Krishna's body is transcendental. Yes. How can he die just like an ordinary man dies? No. Since when Karanadaksha Vishnu is existing, how many times did he glance? This can be calculated with our material mind and intelligence. This can be understood when Lord gives us this mercy by being pleased by our sadhana bhakti. Of course, Bhagavad Gita is discussing the topics from the point when Brahmaji gives body to the Jivatma, both subtle and gross. Now we are in this material creation. What should the Jivatma in this condition state do? Now, the point is, he must try to get rid of this gross and subtle body and get a spiritual body like that of Bhagavan. And if you look at Bhagavan, his body is not made of these 23 elements. It is Divya Shakti, Antaranga Shakti, or the transcendental Shakti. Similarly, this infinitesimal Jivatma, that is the living entity, he must also get this body made of this Divya Shakti, which is suitable to do some seva in the spiritual world. That is the purpose. We must also have some sort of a body which we can use. And that body should also be transcendental so that we'd be able to do seva in the spiritual world. And how can that body be got? That is why we are having these classes every day, to discuss that sadhana bhakti is the most important thing in this material world. Without performing sadhana, we will not be able to get to a point where we understand the glories of the Lord, or where we understand his devotees, the mood of the devotees, nothing. We'll be covered by, as I said, this Jivatma in this material world, we know it's covered by avidya and karma. And because of it, it's obviously turning away from the Lord. And avidya is a component of Mahamaya. Avidya is made of tamoguna, is likened to darkness, and it covers the Jivatma. Oh yeah, I'm the soul, but it covers it. So obviously, dear devotees, our focus is to understand that yes, this material body is temporary, but I have to use this material body in the service of the Lord. So at one point in time, I'm able to get the spiritual body to do service to the Lord all the time in the spiritual world. The temporariness of this material world is understood every day by the activities that happen in our life. It's very sad. Sometimes the activities that happen in our life can be so depressing. So here, I would like to talk about one such incident, right? Um, so my dad happened to visit, uh, the primary care physician. He would do an yearly checkup, and he went with this problem of having acidity issues in his heart. He says, my heart burns, and doctor, can you just look into it to understand what's happening? Just can you help me here? He went with this problem to the doctor. The PCP, right? The primary care physician, he probably doesn't specialize in these things. And he said, since your heart is burning, I'll refer you to an gastroenterologist. Now, my dad goes to a gastroenterologist and just gets his test done. And in the test, nothing pops out, which is significant and tells the reason why it's causing this issue. So now this gastroenterologist goes and says, you know what? You should go and check up with a heart specialist to see if there is any heart issues. So without that, we wouldn't be able to conclude what is causing this issue. So my dad, it really took some time for him to go to each and every doctor, get the tests done, and so on and so forth. So now he goes to a heart specialist to get this problem taken care of. And then the heart specialist does the EKG, echocardiogram, and then, with him, he also did something called stress test. Stress test is you walk on a treadmill, and then they'll kind of see how you're able to sustain through by walking in the treadmill, right? So this is another test that he wanted to do. And now the result comes out and it says there's some issue, that they are not able to figure out, that the stress test is saying something, but they're not properly able to conclude because it's not clear. So given that situation, so the cardiologist or the interventional cardiologist said, you should have a angiocath done, okay? Angiocath is an invasive procedure. And my Prabhu is a physician, but he's a different surgeon. He is a pelvic floor surgeon. And here we have some opinion that we wanted from one of the doctors to say if we even needed to do an angiocath. Angiocath, as I said, it's an invasive procedure, and it has then there is some radiations and exposure that will happen through this process. We didn't know if we had to go with the suggestion of the doctor. So I asked my husband if this is okay, or he had no opinion about it. And he said, see, I'm not a specialized person in this area, and I would defer to give any sort of opinion whatsoever. But my aunt, she is an interventional cardiologist, so you can ask her opinion. Whatever is her opinion, go for it. Now, we have her opinion, and she said, see, your dad is old. He has a family history of everybody in his family having heart attacks and things like that. So it's better to go for an angiocath. And if something we find out from angiocath, we can even get some stents placed on him and then take care of his heart issue, if any. So this was her opinion. After she gave her opinion, there's no going back, right? We didn't have any any contemplation of whether we should do angiocath or not, even though he was completely asymptomatic. Asymptomatic meaning he had no problem with his heart functioning, right? I mean, he was normal. He used to lift weights and he used to regularly exercise, and absolutely there was no. That's why we contemplated in the beginning whether we should even do angiocath in the first place. But then on the day when he had his angiocath, it was diagnosed that he had critical coronary heart disease. So this was like a shock to us. Oh my God. Now, out of nowhere, we hear the doctor saying that, this is very critical, and, it's something that has to be taken care of as soon as possible. So we are not able to discharge him from the hospital. We have to just right away, right away get him started with bypass. So this was the instruction that came from the doctor who originally scheduled him for angiocath. Stents couldn't do anything because the uh, the arteries, the main arteries, they were all completely damaged. And now the doctors even wondered how he even survived, with this condition, how he was able to take it forward, right? That is Krishna's mercy. I mean, this just happened last week, dear devotees, and when we heard this, we had to immediately prepare our mind to get him on surgery, and then obviously wait to hear what are the next steps and what we have to follow up through. The surgery went on for quite a long time. We were told it was a 6-hour surgery, but then the surgery went on for 12 hours and more than 6 hours, I think 10 hours probably. And we were getting so impatient with what's going on, what's happening, all that trauma was happening in our mind. And finally, since my husband is a physician, Prabhuji went inside the operating room to see what was happening there. And then we got a message from him that everything is okay. But the point is, if Krishna wants to save us, he will give us this life and he will save us. And he's been so merciful on us that he gave us this opportunity to treat that severe coronary heart disease. And now the bypass happened, and then he's in the recovery stage. As you get older, the recovery gets tougher and tougher, right? It becomes, say, for example, somebody had open heart surgery at 60, 65. It makes a bigger difference compared to somebody having it at 70, 75. So at that time, um, my mom, she was, he was admitted in this hospital called Mercy. And she, you know, for her immediate thought was, oh yeah, so Mercy is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. For me, Mercy is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, nothing but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And only through his mercy, our dad is now in this hospital being taken care of, right? So I was so pleased when she said, oh my God, I mean, how she was able to relate that mercy to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and through his mercies, how we were here, and, things like that. At that time, when we remember Krishna, that is Krishna's blessings. And that is the sadhana that brings you to remember Krishna at that time when you're not even able to think of anything else but the person. So, dear devotees, every life has its, every day has its lessons that we learn, and hope we improve through that every day. This test, is a test for life. And when we pass the test, this remembrance of Krishna, the remembrance of Krishna, the mercy that Krishna shows at each time, because the doctor said, you know what, this person, I don't know how he survived. It's just because of the capillaries that are running, that are smaller blood vessels. Because of that, he's been keeping it intact so far. But the capillaries were there trying to divert the blood supply and oxygen to the heart, even though the main vessel has been broken. So it was the capillaries, the small blood vessels, that was doing its function of taking the oxygen supply to the heart. and blood to the heart, dear devotees. So it was not such, the capillaries are weaker, of course. They are not strong by any means. But it was trying to keep it going till we happened to identify this issue that came out of nowhere. There was no symptoms absolutely whatsoever, but it's Krishna's mercy. And the fact, I was so pleased when my mom actually said, Mercy is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How she was able to correlate was something that I admired through. And I felt, oh my God, I'm so grateful, that she was able to remember Krishna and correlate to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because with us, what happened was, we happened to install the deities of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu just very recently, and they came to our house and we've been serving them. So the attachment, because of that serving the deities came, it naturally came to my mom. And we were thinking of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at every time, whenever something happens, we say, yes, this is mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is mercy of Gaur Nitai, Gaur Nataraj. They bring us this mercy. That's the sort of thought process to whatever has been happening in terms of our life events. But dear devotees, that's why I say, yes, given this temporary material body, I mean, I understand the futility of it, but as I said, Krishna has to be so merciful. I have to do sadhana to a point where Krishna becomes merciful on me, so I get that time to serve Krishna all the time. Now, if you have that time, just make the best use of what you can. So, with this, I will conclude, your devotees. Sorry, I, had to bring this story just because I want everybody to understand that Krishna is so merciful. He has given this life and he's also helping us understand who he is, so we can come out of this darkness, avidya, and understand that he is transcendental. And so can we be transcendental. Just that it's a question of covering that needs to be removed. With this, we will conclude, dear devotees. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrind ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, just 1 minute. Somebody has come. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. Please accept Alkulisha Prabhupada. Thank you so much for that class discourse on that verse, and also we really wish your dad a quick recovery on the heart issue. May also may Deborah Nitai continue showering with mercy. Also that we can also be able to shower us, and we have seen it too. Thank you so much. And also the aspect of time, really quite an epiphany when you said time is created after creation of everything. Really fills in the dots. And I know we missed you last week. We missed the association last week, and we understand. I had the pleasure of having a family member going through, and we really wish him a quick recovery.
Thank
Like
you.
to
Sorry,
open up to
Prabhuji,
any
I
other
couldn't do
devotee
it
with
because
comments or
it was the
questions.
day. Yeah, it was the day my dad was having surgery.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
so much. This class was something very technical, but then you broke it down and then you explained about the Prakriti, Purusha, and time and everything. Mataji, I'm very sorry to hear about your dad, but I'm very happy that he managed to go through it and then he's out better. So if we see the plane crash of Ahmedabad recently, all of them died. One survived. Why? Why only one? Because his time was not up yet. He's going to. His dad is saying, "What do I do? Do I rejoice for the one who is saved, or do I mourn for the one who is gone?" Because he had two sons on the plane. So everything has a time to come. It's very nice that you have Gornidai at home, and Gornidai is leading you through all this. But we should know, we should rest assured that whoever has taken birth has to leave their body one day. We don't wish that to anyone, but it is a truth. We have to accept it. So that person who survived the plane crash, do you think he's going to live forever? No, his time will come. But it's so amazing how all of them, except for one, and he walked out. Nobody went there and got him out, but he walked out of the plane and he walked to the ambulance on his own. So what miracle is that? So I just pray that Trishi Gornidai helps you, your parents, your father, and all the family members, and hopefully your dad will come out of this pain that he's undergoing still, because it was not something easy. It was traumatizing for all of you also. But please keep praying. We will pray for him as well. Thank you so much. I know how emotionally you are feeling right now by only saying. Now think about when you were going through it, how hard it was.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We can conclude today's class. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripasindhubhyeva
Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo
Vaishnavibhyo
namaha.
namo namaha.
ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय, श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय, श्री गुरु महाराज की जय, ग्रेट कस्तूरी राधिका माता जी की जय। हरे कृष्णा।
All
थैंक यू।
glories to the absolute devotees. All
हरे
glories to
कृष्ण।
Shri
और
Hare
बोले
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण।